Alrighty. So, unlike those guys, I don't work for free. Okay, let's just get that right off the bat. I do work for money, and I'm going to be talking about a bunch of financial jargon. Um, it's just a bunch of language that we've adopted in the finance industry. So I may lose you at points, but before I talk about a bunch of finance, I want to leave you with something that I just finished reading personally. It's this book called Why We Sleep. If I can leave you with one piece of advice, non-finance related, I think you should probably be getting more sleep. And I'm not licensed to tell you to do that. I think you should probably hear it from the person who studied it. Matthew Walker wrote this book. If you're not the reading type, you can watch the podcast he did. He has many podcasts, but the one he did with Joe Rogan was the one that did it for me. And if you're not long for him, you can always watch the TED Talk that he did. It's 16 minutes. So maybe invest 16 minutes of your life and learn why you should be sleeping more. So let's move on. Anyone have any idea what this freaking mumbo jumbo is? No idea. Okay, good. So this is Malcolm Gladwell's concept about his 10,000 hour rule to achieve true expertise. And this is kind of my timeline that I've been studying finance. I got licensed this year as a financial advisor, but I really started back in high school. You know, I took a couple classes in high school, the business, just to get a sense of it. And then I started my degree in 2017, and the hours started building up. And another jump happened in 2021 when I started working. I started working part-time while I was studying and finishing up my degree. So even though I really just got licensed this year, this has almost been 10 years of studying this topic and learning from my family and really doing, you know, all the education that I can get to it. And I'm not at 10,000 hours yet, but hopefully soon. As mentioned, you know, my name is Scott. This is my degree. I did a Bachelor of Commerce at Carleton, concentration in finance, and I did a minor in statistics. So obviously, I like to get into some numbers, but the good thing about my job is that I get to do things like this, where I'm client-facing and I get to see people. So some days I'm into some numbers, and you know, some days, the good days, I get to go and see a bunch of my, you know, friends and future colleagues. While I was at Carleton, I played a bunch of soccer. Some of my teammates are here today. This is one of my best shots. We lost a season to COVID, and this was, you know, 600 days in between our last game and our next game, and this was the first goal back. As mentioned, I then started working in 2021. I've been in the office where I'm still at now, Innovative Financial Group. Because our dealers are so strict with compliance, I have to include our dealer name and this name. But most people know IFG. That's the logo that's on our office building. Couple fun facts: I have two brothers that also work in the office with me. To the left of me is Miles. He's closest in age to me, and he does insurance, life insurance, critical illness. And to the right of me is Justin, and he's a fully licensed CPA. He does accounting, taxes, so he's very, very intelligent. And right here is my golf swing. You can tell me if it's good or bad later. So moving on. So like I said, we're really here to learn about probably first home savings accounts, FHSA. I'll say that one more time, first home savings accounts, but I'll probably just say FHSA so I can save some time. But I don't think that I could do a good job of explaining that account to you guys without giving some background into what, why, and how we invest. So let's just get into that. What is investing? Investing, I would say, is just a general term coined for putting time into something and receiving something out of it. This could be like going to the gym, investing in yourself, taking time, going to the gym, building up your fitness. This could be real estate. We've got a real estate agent here, mortgage broker here. You buy a house, the house goes up in value, you sell the house, you've made some money. That could be investing. It could be crypto. It could be anything. The one that I specifically do is through the stock market. How do we invest through the stock market? Well, you have to buy investment products. Investment products can be, like I said, it can be crypto, it can be stocks, bonds, ETFs. The ones that I do mostly, probably like 70%, are mutual funds, and the other 30% are alternate products. We'll get into this later. How do you purchase investment products? Well, you need an account. First home savings account. So I think the most common misconception about investing and question that I ask people, hey, you investing? They say, yeah. I'm already putting money in. I'm buying TFSA. Buying TFSA. Well, you don't buy TFSA. You actually buy investment products through the use of your TFSA or your FHSA. Now, there's two different accounts that you can open. Again, I'll get into this later, but you can have tax-efficient accounts and non-tax efficient accounts. Only difference, one helps you save on tax, the other doesn't. So going back, let's rewind, and let's just talk about what investment products really are. The ones that I do, mutual funds. And to know really what a mutual fund is, you need to know what a stock is. A stock is like a share of a company. You can buy one share of Apple company. You're now a part owner in Apple, a very, very small part owner at that. But, if Apple releases an iPhone, Apple company goes up in price, now your share is worth a little bit more money because, they've done well, they've marketed to the public, a bunch of people have bought the iPhone, and what you've previously bought Apple share for is now worth more in value. A mutual fund is just a portfolio of a bunch of stocks. So without trying to explain it, I just built one. I just made one up. So how did I make one up? Well, I just threw stocks in. I shaved this morning. I threw Gillette in there. I was in Toronto the other week. I took a bunch of Ubers. Can't forget our favorites. Air Canada, GameStop. Who owned that? Anyone? Let's get some stability in there. Stuff that we all know. Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, FANG. And we need one more to make it 10. Who listened to Drake's album? No one? Seriously? Spotify. So now we need to name it. Let's name it. We have all these stocks in there. We have a couple good ones. Let's name it the Strategic Gen Z COVID Growth Fund. Who's investing? Who's giving me 100K? No one? I'll be the manager. I'll do all the buying, all the selling. Who's giving me 100K at this? Kiara? All right. Well, Kiara now has $480,000. Started here. If we invested right in March of 2020, and we held all the way until this point, it would be worth $480,000 today. Just in those 10 stocks. Now, obviously, I cheated a bit. I picked GameStop, which went up over 8,000% during COVID. And if you don't know what happened to GameStop, I highly recommend you see this movie that me and my girlfriend Brittany watched yesterday. It's really good. It's called Dumb Money. They've got a pretty good cast in there. Seth Rogen, Pete Davidson. It's funny and it's informative. So we went through the what is investing. Now let's go and do the why. Why do we invest? Well, obviously you want to invest to make some money. As I said in the beginning, you put money into something, you expect a return. Number 2 reason, and I could probably think of 100 reasons, but I'll leave you with 3. Number 2 reason is for planning. You invest to plan. You invest because you're going to buy a house. You invest because you're going to retire. You invest because you have a wedding. And I had a different graphic up here before, but I came across this article not too long ago. Canadian kids cost parents more than $350,000 from birth to 17. I guess we got to start planning for having kids. Like, that's a lot of money. I don't think I cost $350,000, but anyways, third reason that I'll leave you with today is to save on tax. And I'm not going to get too in depth right now. We'll talk about this later. But all you have to remember is this shiny red save on taxes button that exists. So let's make some money. I have my growth calculator on the board. There's a lot of numbers here, but let's just pay attention to two places. Everything else is going to stay the same. Your initial investment, we're going to start at 0, assuming we're just starting to invest today. Time to grow, 10 years. Rate of return, 5%. So annually, you're going to earn 5% on your return. And we're going to put in $100 a month. Okay? 10 years from now, if you're earning 5%, you will have put in almost 12 grand, and it will be worth 15.3. What happens if we make 6%? You put in 12 grand-ish, and now it's worth 16.1. And here's 8%. 12 grand, almost 18 grand. And 10%. And why did I choose those numbers? 5, 6, 8, 10. Well, 5% is what you can literally get from cash, 0 risk. There's a high interest savings account out there that you can use. Same thing as putting your money in a checking account in your bank account, but they'll pay you 5%. So if you just put your money into a high interest savings, you can earn 5% annually and make yourself some money. Obviously, if that's 0 risk, 6% has to be a little bit higher risk than there, because the golden rule of investing is the amount of risk that you take, you should be expecting to receive an equal amount of return. More risk, more return. So 6% might be a low risk portfolio, 8% might be a medium, and 10% and above might be a higher risk portfolio. So getting back to this, your 10% annual return over 10 years, you put in 12 grand, and now it's worth 20. And I know what this guy's thinking right here. You're thinking, I put in 12 grand and made $8,000 in 10 years. What's the point? Okay, put in some more money. Here's the $1,000 a month. Now you've made 80 grand over 10 years. It starts to get significant. So it's all relative. If you're going to put money in, you should be expecting a certain amount of return for the amount of money that you're putting in. If you put in more, you might get more money. So that's the, how we make some money. Number 2 reason why we invest is for planning. You're going to plan to buy a house. You're going to plan for a kid. The one that I want to look at is planning for retirement. And most people plan for retirement when they start getting 45, 50 years old. But I think it's really, really important that you think about planning for retirement now. And I'll show you why. These are some of the most important graphs that I could possibly show you in all of finance. And the reason why is for one simple term. It's called compound. So again, we're going to look at 2 areas, but I'll ask you to keep your eyes on this green bar as it increases. So again, we're going to start from 0. Our time to grow is going to start at 10, but this is going to be the thing that's changing. We're going to go with 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Our rate of return now is going to be consistent, 6.5%, which is a low-risk portfolio at $100 a month. Okay? 10 years, we put in 12 grand. It's now worth 16.5. Here's 20 years. You've put in 24 grand now, right? Because we have 10 more years of adding. And now it's worth almost 48, right? So you've doubled your money at this point in 20 years. And this green bar is starting to creep up, the compound earnings. Here's 30 years. You've put in almost 36 grand and it's worth $106,000. Tripled your money. Green bar is going up. And here's 40 years. That green bar is substantially bigger than this blue bar, which is the money that you've put in. Your money starts to earn money on money that it's already earned money on. That's what compounding is. 40 years, you've put in 48 grand, it's worth 217. You've quadrupled your money. And for everybody that's curious, here's what $1,000 a month looks like. Same numbers. 480 grand instead of 48 grand, 2.17 million instead of 217,000. So that's your what and your why of why we invest, and the 3 reasons why we might invest. I haven't gotten to the tax part yet. But now let's look at how. How do we invest? Well, you got to get in contact with me or a financial institution. Hopefully it's me. And you got to open an account. What account do we have to open? Well, that's specific to you. It might be an FHSA. It might be a TFSA. It might be an RSP. If you have kids, it might be an RESP. It's all dependent on what's best for your particular scenario. Or it might be a non-tax efficient. You might not, well, I won't get into that. Once you've opened the account, you have to contribute money and purchase the investment products. And if you've opened a tax efficient account, he's back. The Save on Taxes button. And this is when you open up a tax efficient account, that's really the main benefit. You get to earn money from your return, but you also get to benefit by saving on taxes. And finally, we'll start to talk about probably what everybody's here to learn about, the FHSA, First Home Savings Account, and how it can help you save on tax. So just to be super clear, again, like I mentioned, this is my personal account. I have a cash or non-registered, non-tax efficient account. I have an FHSA open and a TFSA. I own this fund, BMO Global Innovators Fund, in both my TFSA and my cash. The only difference that this fund is doing is when I go to sell this fund, if I sell it in my TFSA, I pay 0 tax. If I go to sell it in my cash account, I have to pay tax on the gain. What's the gain? Right now, $12. I'm up big. That's the only gain. And you'd have to pay tax on that $12 gain. So we're finally here. First Home Savings Account. How does it help you? Well, let's just get into the nuts and bolts about what the account can do, what it is, contribution room. So I think it's quickly become the most important account for young people, specifically with an income above 20K. Now it's quite specific, but I think it's FHSA first, probably TFSA after that. Depending on your income, it's likely a non-registered account, so that non-tax efficient one, before your RSP. The account, so the FHSA, has $8,000 of contribution room that it accumulates per year, up to a maximum of $40,000. And the contribution room doesn't start accumulating until you open the account. So unlike a TFSA, you don't just automatically get contribution room every year. You have to actually open the account before the clock starts ticking on this $8,000. And I think it's very important to note that everybody here, if you're planning on buying a house or not, you should open the account before the end of 2023 because contribution room resets in January. And if you don't open in 2023, it might set back your plans, or you'll just have less money to spend on the house. But anyways, moving on. The main benefits of this account, as I mentioned multiple times, you'll get tax benefits. What tax benefits? You're going to get tax credits. So anytime you put money into the account, you'll get a tax credit from the government that says Scott has put $1,000 into this account. As a result, they'll send me money back on my taxes at my marginal rate, my marginal tax rate. I'll get into that. There's tax-free growth. So like that TFSA, any gains, I sell it, I don't have to pay any tax. Tax-free qualifying withdrawals towards a first home. So if anyone knows about RSP home buyer plans, when you take the money out, it's tax-free. However, you have to pay the money back. With this one, as long as it's going towards your first home that you're moving into, it's tax-free. It's all your money. They don't want any money back for it. If you don't end up buying a house, your FHSA is just going to move into RSP room. Again, it's just a technical term, but let's move on. So a lot of information there, but let's just get into a use case about what the numbers look like. It's easier when you see it on the screen. And before I can get into the numbers, I need to show you the Ontario tax rates. This is what we all pay as working people of Ontario. And I've selected, for the numbers that I'll show you on the next slide, I've selected this tax rate right here. If you make a salary between $53,000 and $87,000, you pay 29.65% tax. Not on all your money, just on every dollar over $53,360. However, the FHSA works in a way that if you contribute, you get to take advantage of your highest tax rate. So again, this is the tax bracket that I chose. This is just the number that I referenced. Okay, so if I contribute, let's say $1,000, they'll give me 29.65% of $1,000 back. So let's look at what happens in the FHSA. Realistically, you're gonna have $8,000 of room. You contribute $8,000. You're gonna get a tax credit at your marginal rate of 29.65%. How did I get this number? I did 8,000 times 29.65%, and I have $2,372 that I'm gonna get back on my taxes when I file in 2024 for my 2023 taxes. My net money at the end of the year, $10,372. I got my original $8,000 that I put in, tax credit from the government. So let's look at what happens over 5 years. Let's say you have a plan to buy a house 5 years from now and you want to use this full account to its maximum. Put in 40 grand, do your calculation, get your tax credit. You've got $51,860. Your 40 that you've put in and the $11,860 that the government gave back to you. And then what happens if you were investing at the same time? So you weren't just sitting around, sitting in a checking account. You've actually taken the money, you've taken this $11,000, reinvested it in a TFSA, because your FHSA is maxed. And you've also invested this $40,000 at the same time. Let it grow for 5 years at our low risk 6.5% portfolio, and you will have made $22,000 more over that 5 years. So you've put your 40 in, you got your 12 grand back from the government, you've made your 22 from investments, and now you have $73,875 that you can put towards your house, tax-free. Government doesn't want any of that money back. That's 33, almost 34,000 extra dollars that you can put towards your home. That's 84.69% over 5 years, or 17% annually. And I know some pretty high up businessmen that would do some very bad things to obtain 17% annual return. So it just shows you the power. It just shows you what you can do, what's out there. This is available to everybody in this room. Granted, you're permanent resident in Canada, over 18, and you haven't lived in a house before, or your own house. So closing remarks. I just want to offer my services again. I'm fully licensed to open FHSAs, open and manage investment accounts. If you have an investment account open with a bank and you have no idea what you're invested in, what accounts you have open, let's talk. It's your money. It's in your best interest to take care of what you're doing with your money. And hopefully I can help you organize that. And then I just want to give a big thanks to all of you. As Anthony and Michael both know, we work with clients, and without the clients, we wouldn't have a job. So I just want to be very straightforward and give my thanks for everybody to come out at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday, invest some time with us here and learn a little bit more. And yeah, I just really appreciate you guys coming out. Does anyone have any questions for any one of us?
I actually have a question.
Sure. This one?
Yeah, do you only get the 29% if you invest the full 8,000?
So
You make up the entire room?
no. So if you invest $1,000, you'll just get 1,000 times 29.6. So you get $296 back. It depends on what you contribute.
Does that contribution go up like a TFSA every year?
So
or is it based off your age, like a TFSA?
No, so like a TFSA, you get room every year regardless from the government. This FHSA room doesn't start accumulating until you open the account, and then every January you get more, up to 40K.
So if you max that, you have to wait another cycle. You have to wait a full year.
You have to wait until the following January, which is why I said if you're opening it, if you're planning on using this account, you have 2.5 months left this year to open this out. You don't necessarily have to fund it. As long as the account is open, you get the contribution room. You can carry forward 2 years. So if you open it in the next 2 months, as long as you've put in $8,000 by the end of 2024, so the end of next year, you'll still get 2025's contribution room. But definitely think it's important to open it this year if this is in your plan.
So if you open the account, if you're saying this,
Yeah.
Can you put more than 8?
No.
No, 8's the limit.
You'll put 8 between now and December 31st. January 1st, you can put another 8. Yeah. And then January 2025, yeah, exactly. Well, the 2 year, you can just carry forward 2 years of room.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. But you can never, like if you are max funding it every year, there's no way you'll have more than 8,000 room per year. Yeah. Thank you very much. Cheers.